Let's talk about pilot in command. What is pilot in command? The pilot in command, or PIC, as you usually might hear it, is the person in the aircraft who is ultimately responsible for its operation and safety during all phases of flight. In order to be PIC, pilot must hold all the required documents. Those documents must be valid, they must be current, and they must hold any endorsements required to conduct the flight. A private pilot certificate sometimes, or like a sport pilot certificate, a pilot certificate in general, doesn't always come with the ability to do everything. Sometimes you need an endorsement plus your certificate to be able to do it. So that's kind of what that means. All right, so let's talk about FAR 91.3, responsibility and authority of the PIC, pilot in command. The PIC is the sole and final authority for the aircraft. The PIC of an aircraft is responsible for determining whether that aircraft is in condition for safe flight. And if an in-flight emergency requires immediate action, the PIC may deviate from the operating rules of Part 91 to the extent necessary to meet that emergency. So essentially, this sums up as the pilot in command, the sole and final authority of the aircraft. What does that mean? It means you're the ultimate decision maker. When you're the PIC of an aircraft, even if there's another required crew member, even if there's a co-pilot, even if there's a passenger, if they are wanting to do something else, and there's a disagreement, you are the sole and final. They make it just perfectly clear that's who the PIC is. And then you're also responsible for determining whether the aircraft is a condition for safe flight. I don't know if you guys saw on the news, but there was with commercial aviation, large jets and airlines and stuff like that, people get all worked up and mad at the airline. And I get it if a flight is canceled. But there was one where the pilot just wasn't feeling it. A lot of kind of, lay people were like, what the hell? He can't just not feel it. But then all the pilots and student pilots understood, like, that is the PIC. They had to do some sort of maintenance on a part, and he just wasn't feeling right for the part. So, that's totally within the FAA regulations for him to make that call, because he's the one responsible. And if something happened, he'd be the one responsible. So going here on this last one, if an in-flight emergency requires immediate action, the PIC may deviate from the operating rules of Part 91 to the extent necessary to meet that emergency. So this is kind of your call on what constitutes an emergency or not. If you do that, you must notify ATC as soon as possible. So obviously you're going to fly first. So let's say you're flying, right? And ATC tells you to, maintain crosswind, but then some aircraft is coming right at you, or a flock of birds is coming right at you. Obviously you don't want to just be like, well, ATC told me, so I'm just going to crash into these birds or crash into the aircraft, right? You're going to do what's necessary to meet that emergency. And then you're going to fly first. So you're going to navigate out of that emergency. And then once you're safe, then you can call ATC, but do it as soon as possible and tell them, hey, there's a flock of birds. I had to move from my assigned altitude to be safe. No official report is required unless otherwise requested by FAA. So if you do something and ATC is like, why the heck did they do that? They almost caused another crash over here. Like, they shouldn't have done that. Then that would be something like, where your decision making is a little bit questionable. They need more information and you might be requested to submit a report, but you don't have to unless requested.